few months away from the Orville going into production for season four. I guess I gotta do it one more time. Four. That's 4 4s, you guys. Do you think the Orville should be renewed for a multi-season deal from Disney? It really looks like we're going to be getting the 4th season of the Orville by Disney again. Disney loves the Orville. They just had to get their things straight, their business straight. Things were tough for a while. But with the exciting news of the Orville coming back for a 4th season, we're worried. Lots of us are worried. I get comments all the time. I see them on the social medias all the time. Will Adrian Palicki return? People say, oh, she's not returning. She said so on that podcast, Inside of You podcast. Well, she never said she wasn't returning, but she did make it seem like she wasn't interested in returning, which can mean a lot of things. Adrian Palicki had a lot of gripes that were legitimate gripes. As we know, the Orville takes a long time to make more Orville. She's an actor on the show, the Orville. She loves acting. She loves the production. She loves the story. She loves the cast. She loves the crew. She loves the fans. She loves the role. She loves. The one thing she doesn't love is not being able to play the role as often as she would like. She got bills to pay. We all got bills to pay, Jack. And at the time when she gave that interview, there was no Orville acting to be done. But she really hasn't been doing much. She's been released from her contract a couple of years ago. And you go on IMDb, there's not much going on under the Adrian Palicki title, and a lot of the other actors as well. Why? Because acting is a tough gig to get. I've been watching Modern Family every now and again. That was a huge show, Modern Family. The cast was incredibly famous. Go and look and see if any of those famous people from Modern Family have been doing much of anything. Sofia Vergara, a host on America's Got Talent, a little role here or there that no one's really talking about, because acting is a tough gig and there's a lot of people trying to do it. So they want to get back on their show. The Orville. Adrian, being an actor who wants to act, who loves the role of Kelly Grayson, I think will absolutely return for season 4 of the Orville, you guys. What do you guys think? I think you are probably hopeful as I am, but man, do I get a lot of comments about Adrian not returning. And I'm like, she never said she wasn't returning. If anything, being a little, what's the term? Not skeptical, a little hesitant in saying, yes, I can't wait to come back, is a great way to let the studios know that she wants a better contract for next time. And I think she's going to get a better contract for next time when the Orville starts production in just a few months. Deck, official channel member, great to see you. Curtis Tate, official channel member, great to see you. Mark Lawrence, who I know is an official channel member, but not always can be seen as being an official channel member in the chat, depending on which account he's using. Thank you so much, Mark Lawrence, for that super chat. Hooray, hooray for us. Not sure how long I can stay, so I at least can get the money flowing. Joe Loja will very much appreciate it. Let's throw that up on the screen, because that's a thing I can do with StreamYards. Thank you so much for that. Let's see what you guys are saying. Norm says, were there new contracts and stuff that they can get now that the strike's over? Won't that improve the ability to schedule and make sure that there's enough? I think so. A lot of things that people were kind of timid about, especially timid about announcing new shows and new seasons, was the strikes, the acting strikes and the writer strikes. And the strikes were needed because this whole streaming world that television lives in now, they don't play by the same rules as they did when they were back on regular television, on primetime channels and on cable. All the rules about how to treat people nicely and correctly those were written for those other platforms. The new platform, streaming, didn't have rules on how to be nice to people yet. So the streaming services were kind of taking advantage of that. And the actors are like, no, time to renegotiate what it means to be an actor. And they did that. And so now, as the dust has settled, these streaming services are getting back to making shows and renewing shows. They've renewed the Orville. A lot of people didn't think it would happen. They didn't think there'd be a season 2. They definitely didn't think there'd be a season 3. And then they didn't think there'd be a season 4. But guess what? We're getting all those things. Well, we got 2 and 3, and now we're going to be getting season 4. But I'm hoping for season 5 and season 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. I always got to go up to 12. Mike Richards, what is up? A member of the union. What's up, JP? Mike, we need to talk soon. We need to get a new live stream of the unions set up. Eric just contacted me today saying, hey, when are we going to do the next union live show? Well, we got to figure that out. Mark Lawrence says, I'm on my other account. I may just join on this one too. What? You be a double channel member? That's amazing, Mark. Work, says Norm. Alyssa says, Adrian has been promoting the show. Let's put this on the screen. This is a good one. Adrian has been promoting the show pretty heavily at conventions. Yes, she has. I don't think she'd do that if she knows she's not coming back. I think some of her, it's possible. I mean, I don't know for sure. But I think that some of her comments that she made about making people think that she might not come back to the show, though she never said that she wasn't coming back. Even though people tell me that she did, I'm like, just watch the clips. She never said that. Watch the interview. I think it was just a negotiating tactic. It's very smart, very clever. Make it sound like she's not necessarily a 100% get, means that they will try harder to get her a contract that she's more happy with, and probably get everyone else a contract that they're all very happy with. Brian Campbell, a promotion that might be a good story. How will the Union build more ships without help from the Mocklins? That's a good one. Would the battle near Earth recruit more humans to the fleet? They might need more captains. Yes, more captains. I know, of course, Kelly's up to be a captain. She's awesome. Kelly is my favorite character on the show. And I know, everyone's got their favorites. Bordas, Gordon is an easy favorite of many people. For me, the human element has always been Kelly. Her character story, the way her character is, she's the grounded one. She's the one that's not going to go do something crazy and silly. The fun things that are in the show. Even when she does do something very human, getting a little a little drunk and then having a hangover while going on a mission, she was still cool doing her job, even though she probably shouldn't have exposed technology to a inferior society of people that were, back in, God, I don't even think the silver era at that point, or the bronze era at that point. Eccleston's Angel, so good to see you. And Eccleston, as we know about Eccleston, Isaac is their favorite. Okay, Isaac is great. Isaac is one of my favorites. Isaac really holds up a mirror to society, which is a thing that the Orville does very well, very much in the vein of Gene Roddenberry sci-fi, which Gene Roddenberry sci-fi is still top 3 sci-fi for me in my entire life. The Orville is the only science fiction show that is upholding the Gene Roddenberry sci-fi system. Stories that make you think, very high science fiction concepts, just with a little bit of added humor, a la Seth MacFarlane. Mike Richards, the voice of reason, Mike says. Deck, it's understandable. From her perspective, as great as the Orville is, a show of its scale and budget takes a long time to start a production. Absolutely. And she's an actor, and she wants to act. And she's very good at acting for the role of Kelly Grayson. Alyssa says, Kelly is my favorite too. Very, very well said. Kelly is my favorite too. I need that as a bumper sticker. Imagine someone driving around with the bumper stickers just says, Kelly is my favorite too. That's awesome. Archmage, what's going on? Gene, Seth, and Rod for JP. That's right. That's actually it. Gene Roddenberry, Seth MacFarlane, and Rod Serling. That's my sci-fi right there. Eccleston says, I'm really looking forward to see how Isaac and Claire are getting along. Do you think the actors playing Marcus and Ty will be back? Absolutely. They will be older because they are older. And how will they explain the fact that they're so much older? Because time will have passed on the Orville as well as for us. The Orville will not be taking place the next day after Claire and Isaac's wedding. It will be a couple years later. So a lot of things have happened as far as in the Orville universe goes. So we'll see where we end up when we come back to this amazing universe. Grosner plus Star Trek / Orville has holodecks. Yes, they do. I'm glad that the Orville doesn't have transporters, though eventually it looks like the Union will be getting transporter technology, at least by the 29th century, as we learned from Priya. Special thanks to everyone who showed up to the Priya watch party last week. This week, we'll be watching Krill, season 1, episode 6 of the Orville. It's the very first episode that John Cassar comes aboard, originally as a director and then eventually as an executive producer and just a hardcore head director for the show. But yeah, I'm glad they don't have transporters, and they really didn't want transporters for the Orville because it just makes it too easy to write people out of tough situations. Probably also if the Orville also, besides all the technologies it does have right now, if it also had transporters, that would probably be a little too close to Star Trek, where Star Trek would be like, oh, we might have to sue some people. And they might even win. Who knows? I think together, us as the fandom can make sure that Adrienne Palicki comes back for season 4. I think she's going to do it anyway. It's a great role. Nothing else is going on. Why wouldn't she come back? That would just be a dumb thing to not do another season of the Orville. That'd be bad for her career, I think. But I think we can assure that she comes back to us by just letting her know how much we love her. Adrienne Palicki, you are such a great addition to the Orville. I think the Orville couldn't exist properly without the character of Kelly Grayson there to watch over the crew, the missions, the adventures, make sure that Ed Mercer stays on track. It's just such a great character. Bring back Derulio. I mean, it might be a little rough at first, but we'd all love to see Derulio again. See what's going on with that situation. Deck says, we're all for the Orville and beyond. Now, I realized, this is something I forget all the time, but I realized before I started this live show that I can actually add a Q&A to the chat. So if you look up at the top of the chat on your end, there's a question. Should Adrienne Palicki return to season 4 of the Orville? Yes or no? You can let your wishes be known. I'm sure everybody wants her to come back. Some people will say no because they're like, let's just throw a wrench into the works there. I know how the internet is, and it's okay. Zan says, Kelly was so quick to say Orville is over and begin moving on, and also criticize Seth's writing process a bit. So I figure she moved on mostly. Well, she said that. I think she was in a bad mood because of the topic and people say stuff like that. And what she said about Seth wasn't really so bad when you just hear it. Because when I first heard it, I was like, oh, that is rude. And I listened to it again. I'm like, oh, it's not that rude. It's not as rude as I thought it was. After I re-listened to it and just took my emotions out of it. But not much further after she had that interview, after the interview was released, she was out there at sci-fi conventions promoting the Orville. Just a month or two ago, she was interviewed at a convention, and she said, "Fingers crossed for season 4." And people get into a mood, which she has the right to do, or she can make it sound like, "Oh God, I'm so sick of how long it's taking for us to be able to work." But now it's time to work, so she's probably very happy. I'm sure if she gave the interview again today, it'd be a very different tone. Archmage Frey, Isaac adding a midlife crisis to his program. Then, with discussing it with Claire, he makes a boo-boo. Statistically speaking, you have far exceeded the midpoint of your lifespan. Yeah, and also don't forget that Isaac lived 700 years longer in the episode Mad Idolatry, when he went to the multiphasic planet and stayed there for 700 years. So Isaac's got a lot more years on him than people realize. But yeah, Isaac, he's not going to be strategic in the things that he says to other people when considering their feelings, because he usually doesn't consider other people's feelings. All right, Deck answered yes to the Q&A. I got to remember the Q&A. I forget that's a thing. I just remembered it. I was like, oh, let me check it out, see what the options are. Let's, people interact a little bit more. I want as much interaction as I can get from talking the Orvillians out there. Eccleston says, no, Drulio is a geek. He bugs me. At least I don't want to kill Clyden anymore. Well, one of the live show topics I'm eventually going to do is, I already put a short out about this. I'm trying to figure out a new way to do shorts to be a little bit more informative, get people excited about the Orville, especially new people who haven't really sat down and actually watched it yet, but also be cool with YouTube. So, because that's, if YouTube ain't cool with the stuff I'm putting out, then I can't put it out, right? It's a fine line to walk. But everything I'm doing, I think, should be fine. I put out a video about whether or not Clyden might be a spy for the Mocklins in season 4. He came back so easily, didn't he? I mean, had all those problems in season 3. Everybody's hating on Clyden, and then all of a sudden, and he leaves and he says horrible thing to Topa. I wish you were never born. Absolutely horrible thing to say to your child. And then all of a sudden he's back. Oh, I'm sorry, everybody. I was backwards in my thinking, but I'm not anymore. Let's be friends. Rocky Road everywhere. He might be a spy. And Mocklins might have said, hey, things aren't going well with the Union and Mocklins right now. We're at a war with the Union. Let's go ahead and send you back in there and get some information, Clyden. And maybe Clyden's dealing with that, and then maybe Clyden will be like, you know what, this is wrong. So he might start off as a spy and then say, hey, this ain't right. I'd rather be with the Union and my family. Maybe he learned something, but I think there'll be a little bit of trouble first, or else what else has Clyden got to do? Curtis says, maybe she was on her period, which would usually be a rude comment, but it's a quote from the Orville, so it works in the context of this conversation. I was just watching that scene today, Curtis. I have a short that I put out about wealth in the Orville, how wealth works in the Orville, how money works in the Orville. It's a short that I made that actually aired the same exact time that this live show aired. So some people are being torn apart right now. They might want to be part of this live show, but they also want to watch that short. What to do? It'll be there. It'll be there when we're done. Well, there you go. Maybe she's making an amends. She complimented Seth's writing in panels recently. Also, Seth is very pro actor. He's pro work, but he's pro the people. And so he might have even gave her the idea to disparage the show a little bit in order to help her and everyone else get a better contract. This might all be a behind the scenes plan, you guys. I'm not saying it is. I'm just not saying it's not. Sometimes you got to do things like that in order to make things better for people. Zan says, I think just 1 or 2 people from original cast and start with a mostly new crew. But now that they may not be popular, the stories were wrapped nicely. They wrapped a lot of stuff in season 3. That was the point, because they didn't know at the time if they were going to definitely get a season 4. They were hoping for a season 4. The reason Seth MacFarlane put out the novella for the Sympathy for the Devil episode is because they weren't able to film it for season 3, but he loved the story and he wanted to make sure that Orville fans were able to get that story. So he put out the novella just in case they didn't get a season 4. But also, he's like, if we get a season 4, we can make that episode. So I do know that in season 4, he wants to make the novella into an episode, which they already did. They reverse engineered it into a novella, but it'll be going back into as a script for season 4, Sympathy for the Devil. If you haven't listened to it yet or read it yet, link is in the description of this video. Brian says, if he was a spy, that would be a great story. I'd also hate it so much. Same, I'd hate it. But no matter what Clyden is going through, I'm always team Clyden. Whether it's time to hate Clyden or it's time to love Clyden, I can jump back and forth, but always be team Clyden, because I know Clyden's character is there to teach us something as the audience. To realize, hey, sometimes people in our family, they got weird ideas, and they like to talk about those ideas over Thanksgiving dinner. I don't like those ideas, but I still love my crazy uncle. Clyden is basically our crazy uncle. Well, and Eccleston says, well, Clyden has already renounced his Moclan citizenship, so that's a bit perplexing. Or is it all just a stage? Is it all staged where he renounced it, but he was told to renounce it to help sell the ruse? Archmage, slightly off topic, official channel member, Archmage Frey. Well, not necessarily as under this account, but still, win grace, Archmage Frey. Slightly off topic, but I hope everyone is staying safe during the Bell riots today. Are there some Bell riots going on? I am so off the news. I don't know what's going on today. I was trying to work today. I didn't even plan on doing a live show. I have my live shows scheduled for Thursdays during the watch parties. I want to do a lot more, but I have to work all the time. I was trying to work today and got out there at 6 something in the morning, but it's the holiday today. Oh, the holiday. Maybe that's what you're talking about there, Archmage. I'm putting two together, maybe. And there's no rides. I tried to do rideshare to help try to bring in something to pay some of these bills while I'm also looking for a regular job, a steady job. But there's no rides today because of the holiday. And there was a ton of drivers out. I'm like, well, if there's 10 drivers I'm competing with and no rides, I'm not going to get any rides. So I better go home, get in front of talking to the Orville computer, and start making some content and doing a live show. So that's what I'm doing. Okay, Archmage. Bell riots are from Star Trek. I do remember that. Not real life yet. I do remember the Bell riots, but I didn't put 2 and 2 together with real life for Star Trek. B-Sod talking the Orville. Exton asked, is that a DS9 reference? Denal and her advanced civilization snagged Charlie before the explosion from the weapon destruction vehicle for her return. And that's what I say about Priya. Denal. I know that name, Denal. Anyway, that's my theory for Priya to return. Priya snatching Charlie right before the destruction because she needs her 4th dimensional mind to do something. I don't know what Priya's up to in her alternate reality future. She should be an entirely different person. Well, at least have a entirely different history. Not an antiquities dealer, but maybe, I don't know, some renegade, whatever, or something. Maybe she has a pet dog. Kelly people like Kelly. Curtis Tate, it's time to move on from the Mocklin story and tell different stories. The only Mocklin story I really want to know, well, first off, we're going to have Mocklin / Krill. We have to deal with those two suckers. The Krill are more interesting to me than the Mocklins. But the only Mocklin thing I want to know is the conspiracy. Why do they tell people that females are only born once in a generation when they're obviously born all the time? What's the history of that? I would like that exposed, and then I'm pretty good. I mean, we don't have the Mocklins in the Union anymore, so we shouldn't have to worry about them. Let them just be enemies, like the Romulans were enemies, the Kardashians were enemies. Sometimes they weren't, sometimes they were, but mostly they were. But yeah, that's all I want to know about the Mocklins, and then we can just move on to other races of people and societies and all that stuff. Alyssa, I've cosplayed Kelly a few times at conventions. Thumbs up, awesome. People get excited when they recognize the show, but also the character as well. One group said, she's Commander Grayson, and made me pose. That's awesome. People love Kelly. Norm says, from the 700 years per 11 days. That's right, the multiphasic planet. In 11 days, Union universe time, 700 years would go by multiphasic time. DJ129, and this is a question for everybody. What would you like to see most in season 4? For me, it's everything. But I want Ed to save his daughter Anaya. I want Gordon to find love without it being ripped away through time and space. There's just so many things. I would like the Krill to get their asses handed to them, as well as the Mocklins. I would like to help Lycella's people, the majority rule planet, but you can't really help them because that would be against the Orville directive, which is very much like the Prime directive. I don't know what it's really called. Whatever directive about interfering with cultures that aren't ready to be interfered with yet. And yes, Curtis Tate, more Ensign Turco. I'm going to put that on the screen right there. I'd actually see what's her name? Kara. I can't remember her last name, but the actor that plays Ensign Turco. I followed her on Instagram forever ago because of the Orville. I followed everybody, and so she posts stuff all the time. So she's always, if I ever go on Instagram, which is rare, but when I do, I see her on there all the time, and I'm always like, oh, Ensign Turco, and then I scroll. Oh, I would like to see Gordon command the ship one time. That would be awesome. We've seen Alara do it. We've seen Bortus. Well, Bortus, it's kind of his job. We've seen John do it. Is that it? Maybe Tala. I think Tala has done it. But Gordon doing it, and how nervous would Gordon be? But Gordon wants to be on the command train, a path to command, so that people will take him seriously. I hope he hasn't let that idea go, that he might still want to do that. So, let's give him a chance to actually take command. I think he'd probably be just as nervous as Alara was when she did it in episode 2, Command Performance. I want Talea to die. She's a psychopath. She is a psychopath. I think she's beyond redemption. Talia is technically, last we saw Talia, she was in Union captivity. We've got her. She's in Union jail, Union prison. Well, the brig is all we saw. But I think Talia, something needs to happen to her. I don't think we'll be able to bring her back after the crazy power she was given, and she went crazy with that power. She's got a whole cult of Krill people that are all about her. So she's got that power going on. And the fact that she was willing to, basically put Anaya in captivity. She obviously loves Anaya, but also is not doing what's right for Anaya. And Anaya needs to go to Ed. I'm sure the Krill will disagree. So in that case, we're going to have to have a rescue plan to get Anaya back. But yes, I think Talia is too far gone. Zans, what's going on? I think back off and let the big plots become longer storylines and bring in some new stories, exploration, world building, maybe interesting sets that are a bit more earthy, lived in feeling. I do like the stuff that's a little bit earthy, like they did with Majority Rule. It's a whole other planet with a whole other type of people, but it's very Earth-like. I would like a little bit of that. Even All the World Is Birthday Cake. Those people was very Earth-like. Let's get some more. Let's discover some other people. See what's up. Maybe we discover some people out there that are actually advanced, but just different in their way of thinking. Maybe they don't want to be friends. They're not enemies. Maybe they're like xenophobic or something like that. They have the abilities to fly through space and in a very peaceful planet, but they don't want to be friends with anybody. That'd be very interesting. Yes, Alyssa says Tala was in command at least once. I do remember her sitting in the chair. I mean, it wasn't a big moment or anything like that. Yep, Gordon had interest in command. I think the Union might use Talia. Yeah, I mean, she's definitely going to have. She was the chancellor of Krill, so she's going to have all the info that we need. Being that she's the number one Krill, and the Krill are the number one enemy, the Krill-Moclan Alliance, and we have the leader of the Krill. Something has to come from that. Barry, what's going on? Barry says, sorry, we're late to the party on this one. Had a really hard time getting that jar of pickles opened again. Should have called Alara. Alara can do it. Tala could do it too, but Alara's should be your go-to. Dex says, I want to see Alara and Tala team up and have a good cop, bad cop dynamic. Me too. That's exactly what I want as well. Let's keep pressuring Seth to make that happen. Huckleberry wants Alara to be the bad cop. I think Tala would naturally be better at being the bad cop because Alara is so sweet, but Alara could be a badass when she wants to. Angel says, I forgot her name, the one that they picked up in season 3, Lysella, episode 10. What kind of a storyline would you think they would give her? Well, I think Lysella is still kind of wrapping her mind around how life in the Union works, how wealth works. It's like you get a job so that you can contribute to society. You can contribute to the Union. You don't get it for money. And that job could be, you could be a coffee maker. You could be a barista, but you're just going to try to be the best barista you can be. And that's just as good as being an admiral. I mean, everyone's working for the greater good, And I think maybe there's a possibility that she might want to become an officer, being that that's the influence that she has aboard the Orville. Or maybe she'll want to go off and explore what the Union has to offer as far as a lifestyle goes, as a society goes. But then she's probably going to want to contribute in some way. So will she become a cook? Will she become an artist? Will she become an officer? She becomes an officer. I'm sure her training will probably be aboard the Orville so that we, the fans, can watch it happening. I do not think that she will become a bridge crew member, because the bridge crew are the best of the best, the higher ups as far as officers go. And I don't think she would have had enough time to work her way up to be a bridge officer, but that doesn't mean she won't be on the ship. Maybe she'll be in engineering with John, since she has a little bit of a history with John on the Majority Rule planet. DJ129, did you hear about Ted season 2 nearly getting canceled? No, I did not hear that. Big budget, and now they are making an animated Ted series. I do know that they were filming season 2 of Ted not but a few weeks ago. No, I'll have to look into that. I didn't hear about that at all. And I know that the cast and crew, Scott Grimes especially, still posts photos and stuff from production of Ted season 2. Irie says, do space whales eat krill? I don't know. We're going to have to find out. What if we get a space whale? I mean, Star Trek had a lot of crazy things flying out there in space. What if there's a space whale out there? The only crazy space thing, and it's just another race of people, are the spider people, the arachnids, that the krill are afraid of because they're part of the Akana legend, some sort of dark evil thing out there in space. Turns out to be the arachnids. What happens when the arachnids return? And are the arachnids going to get in the middle of the krill union war? Like, what if we're battling the krill at a standoff, and then all of a sudden the arachnids show up, and the krill are like, oh no, it's monsters, run! And by run, they mean fly away. Fly away with spaceships. And they fly away with spaceships. Barry says, Alara definitely needs to come back in some capacity. Agreed. I don't need Alara to be a full-time character on the show, but it would be nice to have a full episode with Alara, not just a walk-on, but a full episode where her character is important to the story. The Brown Guy, thank you so much for that super chat. Yes, we are back in super chat and channel member mode, you guys, now that the new Talking the Orville has been given approval by YouTube to be a monetized channel all the way. We're monetized all the way. The Brown Guy says, hi, JP. Hope all is well. I'm excited for season 4, hopefully coming soon. How's the family? I miss joining in on these live streams. Damn FT job. These full-time jobs, you guys, that's what they do. They take away usually at least 40 hours of your life, not to mention getting ready for work and leaving work. That all takes time too. It should all be paid for. Family is great. Life is tough right now until I get, I'm looking for an FT job. I actually got called on Friday. I applied for a bunch of jobs last week, and one of them for a social media content moderator job called me. They're very interested in hiring me, but they asked me something that was silly, that no one has ever asked me for in all my decades of working jobs. They said, we need proof of your high school graduation. I'm like, what? No one has ever asked for that. And I'm like, I don't have that. I remember seeing that once when I was like 18 in a box somewhere, but that was a long time ago. And I'm like, well, I guess I'm going to have to contact my high school and have them send me a transcript to prove that I graduated high school. And so I did that. I emailed my high school. And they said, okay, cool. Now we just need an ID just so that we know we're talking to the right person. So I sent them a picture of my ID. But I haven't heard back from that. That was on Friday, but it's a 3-day weekend. So hopefully they got it, and they got the information they needed, and they're mailing it out to me so that I can call this job and say, hey, I got what you require. let's get me all hired up in this full-time position. And so fingers crossed for that, because I really need it. I mean, things are bad. I don't talk about how bad things really are, but things are really bad. So I'm hoping, I'm very much hoping that I can start working ASAP, because this rideshare stuff is a joke, and it ain't doing it. There you go. Curtis Tay says Disney Star Wars had space whales, and Star Trek had space whales in the Voyage Home. Star Trek 4, one of my favorite Star Trek movies, even though it's just a fun little romp. Archmage says, yeah, the Arachnids have all that tactical knowledge of a Union admiral would have, plus a lust for single parent doctors. Yes, they do. And the Arachnids, we only saw a little bit of their transformation. As they transform a little bit further along, they actually get weapons and stuff, like biological weapons. Part of their bodies, they can shoot explosives and all kinds of stuff, all biological. We never got to that point, so let's bring that into season 4. The characters are unfolding in the Orville universe. Yes, did you see Family Guy got picked up by Comedy Central? Yes, I did see a post. I believe I saw that post from Fuzzy Door Productions. Fuzzy Door being the same company, Seth MacFarlane's production company that, of course, makes Family Guy and all the other animated series that Seth MacFarlane does. And Fuzzy Door is also the company that makes The Orville. They posted that Family Guy was picked up by Comedy Central, which is good, because Comedy Central's got they got some good reruns of some shows. They play The Office and things like that, but then they got a bunch of other stuff that's no bueno. So good for Comedy Central picking up something a little bit more interesting than whatever else they're playing over there. Thank you, Barry. Barry says, good luck with the job hunting. Thank you so much. I need it. I need it. YouTube messed me up so bad when they demonetized the original Talking the Orville, but it's my fault I waited too long. I was like, things are going to work out. This is that. I was all optimistic, but no, YouTube never came through and helped me out and all that stuff. I had to start a whole new channel right here, which is still in the process of rebuilding. Lucky enough, thanks to you guys, that we have full monetization now, but that's only just a little bit of the recipe that it takes to actually be bringing in money to keep the lights on. You just got to keep putting out content. Got to put out that content. So I'm trying to figure out how to put out content that the algorithm likes to share with people, and that also I have time to do. Finding time right now is really tough. When I get that full-time job, I will actually have a lot more time to make the videos that I want to make. The Brown Guy, I hope you are able to get it if it's what you need, my friend. The gig economy sucks. The gig economy does suck. Don't believe what the internet tells you. Don't believe the people that make these videos. Oh, I'm a driver and I made this amount of money. Yeah, they did. Doesn't mean you will. Be careful with all that stuff. I think driving rideshare could be pretty good as a part-time gig, because you can pick and choose exactly the right times to do it just for a few hours. If you're doing it more than a few hours, you're starting to spend money on gas and wear and tear in your vehicle, things like that. But if you're able to do just a few hours at certain times a day, I think you can do pretty well with rideshare as an additional job, not as the job. It used to be easier for me. I was able to do rideshare a little bit here and there when I had the other Talking the Orville channel monetized as a supplemental way of helping pay the bills. Great for that, but when it became the full-time thing, don't fall for it, you guys. I don't think Family Guy was canceled by Fox. It was just picked up as an additional. There'll probably be a bunch of reruns. It just means they can play Family Guy reruns 24/7 like they do with a bunch of other shows that they do. But I bet you Fox will still have Family Guy new episodes every season. Because Family Guy is still doing very well. I talked to Seth a few months ago, and I was telling him how the Orville shorts are doing really well. And he was impressed by the numbers I was getting. And he mentioned Family Guy. He's like, man, Family Guy doesn't even get that many numbers. And the Family Guy gets a lot of numbers. I mean, a lot of views. But then YouTube said nope. Well, this is actually after YouTube said nope. I said, you know what, YouTube, you don't like my shorts? That's too damn bad. They're not monetized. Oh, well, they're still going to promote the Orville, and that's what I cared about. I still care about that. Angel says, I would love it if they bring Patrick Stewart and William Shatner as an admiral. I would love both of those people to join the Orville in some way. I don't know if I want admiral just because I'm bored of admirals. And you can't have them be captains. They're too old to be captains. But I would love it if they're like the leader of a world, some character that they run into on some adventure. I think it'd be great if William Shatner played a Krill. I don't know if they'd get him to do all that makeup because that's a whole to do, and he's beyond having to be uncomfortable like that. But that would be fun if they got William Shatner all done up as an alien, just like they did with Jason Isaac in season 2 when he played Olix, the bartender. What do you think the Orville will do after season 4 in its 5th and 7th season? I don't know, because I don't know what they have going on in season 4. I mean, I know they got Sympathy for the Devil. I know that story. And we will see in Sympathy for the Devil, spoiler alert, but not really, we will be seeing Ty as an old man at some point, unless they change it. They change the script. I would like in at least season 5 and 7, when the Finn boys are older, maybe see them getting into some adult situations, relationships, on missions, things like that. See what kind of hijinks we can get into it with them, with Isaac being there. I want to see every season. I want a new level of trouble in the Claire and Isaac marriage. Not trouble that's going to break them apart, but some sort of funny situation that's very common to relationships in our day and age, and every day and age, really, every era. Let's bring that into a robot/human relationship. What if they find some sort of equivalent of Isaac leaving the toilet seat up? It wouldn't be a toilet seat. It'd be some other thing, but something that bugs Claire, and he's being inconsiderate. Barry says, still got commercials interrupting. Good old YouTube. Well, I guess commercials are good. They help support the channel. Peter on Family Guy hates the Orville. Yes, he does. It prevents him from doing his work on Family Guy. Archmage, I still want Patrick Stewart to be an architect who keeps yelling, the line must be drawn here. Yeah, what if Patrick Stewart's a character who just keeps drawing lines on things? The line must be drawn here, the line must be drawn here, and here, and here. Barry says Shatner could be some kind of scoundrel character. That I would like. Bill is just so, at least to us, people who've watched Bill our whole lives, he's kind of lovable. But he could play other roles. On Twitter, he's not that lovable. People don't seem to like him on Twitter that much. But every time I've seen Bill do anything on screen, I was like, he's kind of lovable. You ever see that movie, Free Enterprise, where he plays himself? That was funny, and he was still lovable, even though it was a crazy version of himself. There you go. I want to see Topa and Marcus training together. I am wondering how old Topa will be, what the equivalency of her age will be in season 4. She aged in 3 years. She became a 17-year-old. 2 more years go by. Will she be a 30-year-old? When do Mocklins stop aging so quickly? I mean, I've said this before. I might do a video about it because I'm trying to make shorts that are kind of topics that I'll eventually make long videos for or do live shows for. Like I've done a couple of Adrian Palicki shorts recently, all to help support this conversation that we're all having right now. How old will Topa be? Will she be actually the right age for Gordon in the next season? But then Gordon's still not about it because he's known her since she was a baby. And then that's like, oh, Topa's sad again. Dex says, I love me some Family Guy and American Dad. Also, all of Seth's Fuzzy Door productions. Yes, I am a big fan of A Million Ways to Die in the West and the Ted series, or the Ted movies first and then the Ted series. I'm really excited to see Ted season 2. I love A Million Ways to Die in the West. That's a fun type of period piece that I've always liked that style. I think A Million Ways to Die in the West would make a great television series. Seth doesn't even have to be in it. He could produce it, help write it, things like that, maybe guest star in an episode. We could get someone else to play the lead, someone a little bit younger, because Seth's 50 years old now. I think that'd be a great set, scene, a plot to make a television show. What is the premiere of the Orville season 4 is Riker? What if the premiere of the Orville season 4 is Riker watching the last mission of the Orville on the holodeck? Oh, Gordon would be the one that gets killed in that story. So I don't want Gordon to ever get killed. But yes, they should bring Jonathan Frakes on set to be in front of the camera in season 4 of the Orville. He's been behind the camera. He directed Priya. He directed Sanctuary. Didn't he direct one other episode? I can't remember. He wanted to direct for season 3, but they weren't doing that in season 3. In season 3, only Seth and John Cassar were directing. They wanted, because also with the crossboarding they were doing, where they were filming so many different episodes all at the same time. They didn't want to have to, bring directors up to speed on what was going on, because it was a very complicated way that they filmed season 3. But Jonathan really wanted to direct for season 3. I hope they bring guest directors back for season 4. But if they don't, at least let Jonathan be in front of the camera. We already got Marina Sirtis. We've had Tim Russ. We've had John Billingsley. We've had some other Star Trek actors that played smaller roles in different episodes, Klingons and different things. Let's bring them in front of the camera, because I do know that when Seth MacFarlane started the Orville in the very first place, he wanted to bring in a lot of people from Star Trek. I mean, he has, and he still does. There's a lot of people from Star Trek productions that are in the Orville production, on the writing staff and art and, art departments, things like that. But let's bring in some more actors. Jeffrey Combs. Everybody wants Jeffrey Combs to be on the Orville. The thing is, do we have Jeffrey just be a human, or do we bring him in as an alien? I would be. It'd be fun to have him be a Retepsian, but we can't have him be a blue guy. He's already a super famous blue guy in Star Trek. We can't have him be a blue guy in the Orville. But yeah, Jeffrey Combs would be my pick for somebody super awesome to be on the Orville. Okay. This is a good question. How do you think they'll pay tribute to Norm in season 4? Will they send off Yaphet or recast with Adam Carolla like they did with Family Guy, or go to his world, or have him split? I think they'll have him split. If they have him split, that means we'll still have a piece of Yaphet on the show, and it can be voiced by a different actor, and nobody would complain because it's an offspring of Yaphet. It's not actually Yaphet, because the way jellies reproduce is they reproduce through mitosis. They basically split, become 2 new jellies with different personalities, but they were originally the original jelly. So I think that would be the absolute best way to do it, because the idea of having a jelly on the ship is such a great idea, such an original idea, and they're able to do it with the effects, the level of effects that we have nowadays. Other shows could have done that because it was just too much work to make it to play it off. Even when Odo would melt into a puddle, would melt into anything or change anything, it was kind of it wasn't like the best effect ever. But with Yaphet, they can do exactly what they want to do. So let's keep the character and have them split, become a different character, and I think it would all work out. And we can still keep Yaphet. He might have a different name, maybe not. Maybe it can still, be Yaphet Jr. There could be 2 Yaphets, and one goes off and does something, and another one stays on the ship. Brian Campbell says, have Jeffrey be an entire species. If anybody could do it, Jeffrey Combs could do it. Huckleberry Ninja, I want to see that big ass ship that the people forgot they were in a ship, to see how their society advanced from when we last saw them. Yes, that's the bio ship from the episode If the Stars Should Appear. Those people didn't know they were on a ship. They thought that was the universe. The bio ship, which looked like a countryside and had a city and town and blah, 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 blah. They thought that was the universe. And at the end of the episode, it is revealed to them that they were on a ship. And now they know what's up. They know what's going on. They know there's stars out there. They appeared. Let's see those people. What are they up to now that they're no longer headed towards a star? They know they're in space. They know they're on a ship. What happened? Are they in charge of that ship now, just flying around, exploring? Did they decide to go to the planet that they were originally 2,000 years ago supposed to go to and find and settle? Did they make it to that planet, and then the planet was already taken by somebody else? Do they need our help? Do we need their help? We need to figure this out in season 4 of the Orville. Thank goodness we are definitely getting a 4th season of the Orville. If anybody says we're not, they don't know what they're talking about, but you do. Deck says, I can see Topa having a friendship relationship with Marcus in season 4. I could see that too. There was, we weren't given much interaction between those characters before, but doesn't mean that we can't going forward, right? They're all right there on the same ship. It's not that big of a ship. Well, they have like 300 and some people on that ship. Tomlin's actor is on Ted. Yes, Max. Oh, what's his name? Burkholder? I can't remember the actor's name. He played Tomlin in the episode If the Star Should Appear. He is the star of the Ted series, so they could probably get him easily. Yes, I would love to see Tomlin again. Might as well. And also, if you haven't watched the Ted series, it's hilarious. It's exactly the same tone as the movies, but a lot more story going on. It takes place in the 90s. A lot of actors from the Orville you will see appear in the Ted series. Even Penny Johnson-Gerald. Penny Johnson-Gerald plays the high school principal on the show. So it's kind of weird to see her, Claire Finn, being behind a desk being a high school principal. Mike Henry, who plays Lieutenant Dan, he has a cameo on the show, playing a funny little scene. He's like a bank manager or something like that. The Have a Slimy Day pillow alien from About a Girl episode. That's going way back. You might say, thanks a lot, Dick, or whatever the alien said. He was like kind of a lizardy looking alien with a pillow. He plays one of the teachers on the show, and the list goes on and on and on. You'll see tons of people, and of course, Lysella from the Orville plays the sister on the new Ted series, and Scott Grimes plays the dad. Actually, everybody in the family on the Ted series is from the Orville, except for the mom, who's played by her last name's Ubeck. I can't remember her first name. She's great. I love that character so much. Check out the Ted series if you haven't yet. But it's a lot of Orville crossover going on. DJ129, do you think Ed will meet his daughter again on Krill? I do. I don't know if he'll necessarily meet her as opposed to fight for her, have a rescue mission. I think a big, huge rescue mission, or at least some sort of mission that tricks the Krill into handing over the daughter might happen. Now, if you remember in the episode with Anaya, Gently Falling Rain, her caretakers, the man and the woman that are been taking care of her, they're on Ed's side. They're not on Talia's side. So they might be able to help us help Ed get Anaya. Damn it, we need Anaya. What would that episode be called? Going back to the bioship people, they probably settled on another world somewhere. That was their original plan. That was their original mission. I think it makes sense that they did do that. Because what's the point on being in a giant spaceship for no reason? You can't really explore in that ship. It's too big. It's the size of New York. Literally the size of New York. The entire city. That's a big ship. Don't even be flying that around. There's no parking spaces for a ship that big. Barry says, your dad's not dead. He's just stunned. You did stun him, right? Yes, they stunned him. That was funny. That's when Ed was trying to get information. They found that cabin in the woods. They assumed the inhabitants of the world knew they were on a ship. So he's talking about, them needing help, this and that, and they had no idea what Mercer was talking about. They had to stun the dad. That was funny. Do you think there will be a Krill civil war over Anaya's existence? I think it's definitely possible. They just have to get the word out. I think there might be two civil wars. And this is interesting. The Krill have reason to have a civil war. The Mocklans also have a reason to have a civil war. Because as we've learned, there are Mocklans that aren't all about the suppressing women thing. We met those Mocklans that they had a female daughter and they wanted to help their daughter escape Mocklus. So, there wouldn't be they wouldn't try to change her or anything like that. The thing about Mocklans, because I think there's a lot of good Mocklans out there, they just don't have the information that they need. So I think once the truth comes out of what's really going on Mocklus, I think there will be a huge civil war. There'll be the traditionalists, and there'll be the people that know what is really going on now. And they're like, oh, wait a minute, we can't be this way anymore because that's not what the truth is, right? So there'd be that. And then the Krill will find out about Anaya. They'll realize that that Krill and humans are compatible, which is very interesting if you think about that. That's a whole other topic, but they're compatible, which means that maybe the Ankana isn't right about the Krill being basically the one true species that they can mix with other species out there and this, that. So yes, that would cause another type of of cultural trouble, cultural separation right there. So if we get the Krill to have a civil war and the Mocklins to have a civil war, they will be ripe to be taken over by the Union and put down in a way where say, hey, you guys just go figure out your stuff and stop trying to hurt everybody. Stop trying to be at war with everybody. Just go figure your stuff out. We'll have the upper hand. No body. They could be extremely original and call the episode Anaya. Ooh, which is when we translate it in Krill is gently falling rain. That's actually a very interesting idea. So you have an episode called Gently Falling Rain, which means Anaya. And then in season 4, you have an episode called Anaya, which is Gently Falling Rain. I like that idea quite a lot. Red Dwarf. I see your picture right there. That's the original Isaac. Gilliam, what's going on? Gilliam Saeed. Damn, it's their start, but I really hope Kelly returns. I think we shouldn't worry. I think Adrian Palicki, I knew it as soon as I saw the interview. I'm like, she's not going to miss out on being a star, this star. I mean, it's basically Seth MacFarlane and then number 2, Adrian Palicki, top billing for an entire TV show, a high budget, very beloved TV series that's breaking records and breaking hearts and hopefully breaking Disney's wallet. She's not going to miss out on that for I wanted to work more. And there's no other work out there. So you might as well do the work that you love that's going to be paying you money, right? I knew right away that I'm like, she's coming back. She didn't even in the video say that she's not coming back. She just alluded to, it made it sound like she wouldn't come back, but she never said that. When they said, will you come back for a 4th season? All she said is, some of us have spoken about possibly returning for a 4th season. That's not the same as, oh, they will, but I'm not. It's not the same thing. It's just, it's to me, it's a ploy. And I don't mean that in a bad way. It's just a ploy at getting a better contract next time, showing that you're unhappy with some of the conditions. You're not getting to work as much as you want to work. Totally understandable. I'm totally on her side. And she'll get a better contract next time. But not being released from your contract hasn't gotten her more work. So I don't even know if that matters very much. But I mean, having a better contract, good for them. The people that work on these shows, they should get everything that's needed to be fair and get them working to make a thing that will entertain us, so that we forget how life isn't the greatest thing all the time. That's I have no problem with her saying the things that she said, but I knew right away. I'm like, I know how people are. She'll be back because she doesn't have a beef with anyone. The show loves her. She loves the show. She loves the fandom. The fandom loves her. The only downside of doing the work of being Kelly Grayson is that it's a lot of work. But big whoop, people like doing hard work when it comes to doing something creative. So I knew right away. I'm like, Adrian, I understand. I understand where you're coming from, and I know you'll be back. We love you. We love you, and you love us. So we can't wait to see you in season 4. And guess what? Now we're getting a season 4. We didn't know for sure we're getting. I mean, I kind of knew we were getting a season 4, but that's private conversation. But I didn't know much about it except for eventually something's going to happen. Now we know something literally is going to happen in just a few months from now. Oh, was she really? I watched the Punisher series, but I watched it back when I didn't really know the character of Lysella, the actress. Wiggum, I can't remember her first name, but her last name I believe is Wiggum. Something like that. Something that sounds like that. The actress that plays Isella was on Punisher series. I really like that Punisher series. I dug it. Avis is never wrong, Barry. When the Orville crew did a scan of Mockless during the court hearing, I thought they were scanning for how many biological females there actually was. I like to find out the actual rate of females. Well, I would like to know that as well. I know that Bortus was under the impression, at least he said this to Topa in the episode Sanctuary, when he showed Topa, young Topa, the little female Mocklin baby that was being hidden on the ship in that suitcase, the baby suitcase. He's told her, or him at that point, told him that once every generation, there's like 1 or 2 female Mocklins that are born. But then we go to the Sanctuary and we see tons of female Mocklins. So we know that that's not true. I assume Bortus was telling the truth as he knew it, because that's what his culture is telling him and everybody else. But we know that's definitely not true. Now, when they did the scan in that episode, I know they found Havina, but they didn't talk about. I would assume that they would have found other females as well. There's got to be a few. Because, didn't Havina start the Sanctuary planet? So there must have been a ton of females on the planet. And then she found the Sanctuary planet in order to start smuggling females and non-compliers to the traditionalist views over to the Sanctuary. Lokar should have been on that Sanctuary. Unfortunately, we didn't have that planet yet. I want to update on Lokar. Lokar went to prison for being straight, and I want to. Hopefully he's alive. Hopefully we're able to get him out of prison and over to the Sanctuary. I think Lokar is ripe for returning in season 4. But also, don't forget, there's going to be all kinds of new things that we've never been introduced to before that are going to be happening in season 4. But I'm very happy that, of course, there'll be some follow-ups. There's so many storylines that have been started in the last 3 seasons that we need some follow-up to. Angel says, do you think they're going to give us season 4 or give us season 4 and a couple more seasons when they announce season 4? I'm hoping for a multi-season renewal. Now, we know that season 4, it's been renewed for season 4. Thanks to Seth MacFarlane saying that there will be more. We know that there was more Orville coming, thanks to Scott Grimes making that announcement at the Star Trek convention in Las Vegas, that season 4 is starting production in just a few months, but we have not heard from the studios yet. Are the studios, when they plan on announcing it, because they will, are they planning on just doing the 1 season announcement or a multi-season announcement? I'm hoping for a multi-season. There's so many shows out there, lame shows, that get multi-season announcements. And The Orville's not a lame show. The Orville's an amazing show. I think it's time to, especially our fandom, we've had to wait so many times for so many different things when it comes to the Orville universe. I think we deserve, not just the show, and the show definitely deserves it, we deserve a multi-season announcement. Let's bring the Orville. We've had 3 seasons. Let's do something different. Let's do something big. Let's do something exciting. Let's not do a 2-season announcement. Let's do a 3-season announcement so that we had 3 seasons of the Orville. But guess what? Let's get 3 more on the books right away. We know what to expect, because I don't want season 4 to end and then all of a sudden we're all sitting here like, oh God, are they going to have a season 5? I don't want that. I want us to know. I want us to be able to celebrate the entire time. After we're done celebrating season 4, which we will, I want to go right into celebrating season 5 and have that carry us all the way into season 5 showing up on our screen so we can watch it together. Huckleberry Ninja. I also want to know if the oldest Kalon know they can feel emotions with some adjustments. It felt strange to me that number one asked Isaac, do you feel empathy or something like that when he was about to? Yeah, and also, you're talking about Kalon primary. Now, also, here's a question. I never really thought about it until right now. The first Kalon, well, it wasn't really the first Kalon. He was just one of many Kalons. In the episode from Unknown Graves from season 3, when we see how the Kalons were being basically tortured, and so they had to fight for their freedom. They were subjugated, and they had to fight back, and they killed everybody. Is Kalon primary the very first Kalon? And if so, that would mean that Kalon primary is unable to receive the emotions upgrade, because Isaac was not able to receive the emotions upgrade permanently because he's too old of a model. Though the newer Kalon models, you would be able to integrate the emotions program into them, and they'll have emotions and be all cool and stuff. For an older model to get the emotions, they have to erase everything, their entire memory banks. They have to erase it so that they can update or whatever, get the new operating system. It's very interesting. If number one asks Isaac, do you feel empathy or something like that when was about to? I think the Kalons, and I've said this before we knew that there was a possibility of them being upgraded with emotions, I felt Isaac had empathy, especially when Kalon primary in the identity saga from season 2. I felt Isaac had empathy for humans and biologicals. I also felt Kalon primary had the emotion of hatred towards the humans. I was like, he seems very emotional about his hatred for humans, for a creature that's not supposed to have any emotions whatsoever. I think it's very interesting. I'd like to see what happens in season 4 when multiple Kalons that are able to receive the upgrade are able to start getting emotions. What happens? Do some of them, do their emotions kind of take over and they become people with different opinions? Some of them hate biologicals, some of them love the biologicals. Will there be a Kalon civil war with emotions being introduced? So many possibilities with season 4, you guys. I'm beside myself with theories. There's so many things that can happen, but I guess that's good because one of my goals is to put out as many theories as I can. These theories that are going around in my mind, so many videos about these theories that Seth has to actually take a look at all the stuff that I put out and be like, ugh, I wanted to do that, but now I can't because JP already predicted it, and now I have to come up with another idea. Make it so hard for them to come up with ideas that it makes them come up with even better ideas, so that I won't be predicting the stuff, because it would suck if season 4 came out and I predicted everything. So the more stuff I come out with, these topics of discussion about possibilities of season 4, I think will make a better season 4 with twists and turns we would never expect. Barry says, I wonder if the Kalon that got emotions is the same one from the flashback scenes. That's tennis. I don't think that is. I don't think it is the same Kalon, but that would be very interesting. I want to see what's going on with that Kalon. We didn't really see that Kalon with emotions interact with the other Kalons. Let's have that happen. He interacted with Isaac, but Isaac's kind of different than the other Kalons. And we saw Kalon primary kind of come to the realizations that, maybe all the biologicals aren't bad. Just because the original Kalon, biological Kalons were dicks. Doesn't mean all the other biologicals are dicks. Thanks to Charlie Burke for setting him straight on that. Brian Stone, yes. Glad to see season 4 officially announced. I consider it officially announced. Some people say, no, it's not officially announced until the studios do it. I'm like, well, that's kind of just a point of view. Scott Grimes is an official channel member, an official member of the cast, and he officially made an announcement at Star Trek Las Vegas. To me, that's official. But also, I have the benefit of knowing a little bit of the behind the scenes. I knew for a long time that the Orville was coming back with more. And then I knew behind the scenes that was officially to me picked up for a 4th season. And then they started coming out with There Will Be More, and we start production in January, February of 2025. Mateo, thank you so much for that super chat. Yes, we are back in the super chat game thanks to YouTube saying, okay, I guess you can be a YouTube channel again. Well, I had to start a new YouTube channel to become a YouTube channel again. But we have super chats, and we have channel memberships, and we have super stickers. So thanks for sending a super chat over my way, Mateo. Vote no on poll. Keep up the good work, JP. Mateo says, vote no. They don't want Adrian Palicki back. I want Adrian Palicki back. But, everyone's got their own point of view, their own opinions. And to a certain point, we got to celebrate that. We can all have our own opinions. Let's see. If the Kalon has orange eyes, they can be with the chip. Orange chip. So if they have orange eyes, they can get the upgrade. Okay. That could be the case. I mean, there's red Kalon, red-eye Kalons. There's orange-eye Kalons. A lot of them are orange-eye Kalons. And yellow-eyed Kalons. And then Isaac's the only blue Kalon, blue-eyed Kalon. And I believe they gave Isaac blue eyes because blue eyes are found in human biology. So they wanted Isaac to fit in with the human crew a little bit more. What if there's purple eyes? All of a sudden there was a purple lightsaber. Why can't there be purple Kalons? So yeah, I could see that. Maybe, I always considered, I could be wrong, but I always considered the different colors to be different disciplines, just like the different colored uniforms in the Orville universe. But it could be different models, different eras. Red being first, yellow being second, orange being the newest. I don't know. Also, the Kalon from the flashbacks of the biological Kalons, we don't know what model he was, really. I mean, what generation? Was he first generation, second generation? Barry says, because the way that he tells the story and then showing those scenes, you would have to think that was being shown through his point of view. You would think so. But also, I don't know for sure. Maybe it's the story they're all told. Maybe all the Kalon know that story. But yeah, I could see it that way too. I could see it that Tanis, that was his memories. I could see it that way as well, which also makes it even sadder. John Smith, I want her back, but not if she's going to be sour and kill the vibe. I don't think she'd be sour. I think she's gonna be absolutely fine. If you look it up, Adrian Palicki's been all about these different conventions, working for the Orville to help promote the Orville. She's been a delight. She's been a joy. She's saying fingers crossed for season 4. I mean, she said that before we actually learned that there's going to be a season 4. So I think she's going to be great. She's a professional. I mean, even in season 3, where her and Scott Grimes were working together, they used to be married and then they got divorced, but they still work together. on the Orville season 3. We're totally fine, totally professionals. I was assured that they're wonderful people who still love each other, just not in a being married type of way. It's not going to work out, but they're pros. Scott and Adrian also go to these conventions together to work for the Orville and on panels and to promote the show. So they're professionals. I've met them all. They're lovely. I don't think there's going to be any sour vibes going on. How could you have sour vibes? The show is so amazing and the work is so good. Any actor would just be so thrilled to be able to do work as good as the work that you get to do on the Orville. Brian Stone says the Orange Eyes are the originals. OGs. The OG Kalons. Mateo says we need green-eyed Kalon. That'd be medical. Or IT. I guess if it's Kalon, it wouldn't be medical, it would be IT. That's true too. Mr. Tommy Pickles, what's going on? I'm sure they can change their eye color at will. Why not have RGB Kalons? Why not get some black light Kalons? Make everything shiny in the dark. We can do that. Barry says about a month before Scott Grimes announced the Orville was coming back, Adrian was out promoting a show and said she wanted to come back. Boom, that's literal. That's a literal statement. That's not even a wishy-washy statement like from the podcast where she's like, some of us are talking about maybe coming back. That's not literal. Literal, I want to come back. Boom, there you go. I mean, I'd have to see that, but I believe it because, of course, she'd want to come back. I don't believe for a second that she wouldn't want to come back. I've looked at her IMDb just the other day. She ain't got nothing keeping her from coming back to work an entire year of awesome acting on the Orville. Not to mention all the promotions you get to do. You get paid to do all these promotions after the acting's done. And more conventions. The more seasons you do, the more conventions you get. And that's money right there, too. It's all about that money. John Smith, hopefully she'll be back with me shooting a shot at her when I film my cameo. Boom. This is an Adrian is hot joke. I do not actually have a cameo on the Orville in the works. Adrian is a very good looking person. There's a lot of those on the Orville. Even Lieutenant Dan said that Gordon Malloy is good looking. Even Unk. I'm sure somebody's all into that Unkness. What are your favorite scenes, quotes, or episodes? My favorite episode of the Orville is always going to be whatever the next episode of the Orville is. So my favorite episode of the Orville is going to be the next one. But there's so many favorites, especially from me, because I've been all over inside and out every episode, every scene of the Orville. I think I guess the best I could do is maybe top fives, but one of my top scenes is when Ed is getting ready for a date with Derulio, and he's acting like a teenage girl, and he sprays that cologne in the air and then walks through it. That might be one of my top fives. Might be my top scene. That cracks me up every time. Just the fact they even thought of that and the way it was edited together, just the right moment, just the right beat, cracks me up. Favorite scenes. Oh, a scene that really cracked me up. And this is what's great about the Orville. You can have scenes that, scenes that made me laugh, scenes that made me cry, scenes that made me think. But one scene that made me laugh out loud is when Kelly comes onto the bridge and we see the back of Bortus's head and he's sitting in the command chair and he's smoking. And we see a puff of smoke come up from looking from behind his head. I cracked up. I screamed out loud. I was all by myself, the middle of the night, 2 a.m, because I had to wait for the new episode to come up on Hulu. I gave out a huge scream from that, and I always remember that every time I see that scene. Famous quotes or favorite quotes. so many, but I tend to get more into the thoughtful aspects of the show. And I use this all the time. I'll be using it at the end of this show. I'm sure you guys can guess. My favorite quote from the Orville is, "We all do better when we all do better." That means so much. Also, knowing the history of how the Earth society became utopian, that that sentiment, that phrase means a lot. That's how Earth eventually became able to dig themselves out of, almost literally, dig themselves out of the hellhole that Earth had become a couple hundred years from now of our present, when they finally started thinking in the fashion of, we all do better when we all do better. So they started going towards making everybody do better, everybody be okay, everybody have everything that they need, and strive for the purpose of expanding knowledge, learning the truth, understanding things, making the world a better place. And therefore, making the world a better place, you make everything on that world better. Not just humans, but animals, environment, everything better. We all do better when we all do better. Norm wants more of the Tala and Lokar story. Yeah. Ooh, would there be a love triangle? Lokar had the hots for Tala. Tala was willing to see if that was a thing that she might want. But also, John and Tala had a tryst, if you will. What happens if Lokar enters the scene, is looking for a little bit of that Tala, hey, and John is right there. Will there be a little bit going on, a little distrust, a little bit of jealousy? Also, Lokar being Mocklin, John can't handle Tala's strength. Lokar being a Mocklin is not anywhere close to as strong as a Selayan, but they are tough. They can handle the strength of a Selayan. So Tala and Lokar would be a much better fit, a much more I don't know the words, smart brain words, a better fit. When is season 4 expected to release? DJ129 says. Of course, they haven't released that information yet because we're still in the very early stages here. I mean, production doesn't even start for a few more months. My prediction, even though it starts the very beginning of 2025, I don't see any way season 4 will be released in 2025. I think it can definitely be finished by 2026. I think 2027 is a little too far out. We don't have to wait that long. I think 2026 is the time when the Orville will be released. Will Disney want to make it a summer release like they did with season 3? Originally, season 3 was supposed to be a midwinter release, but then it got pushed for whatever reasons. I think it's because there was too much Star Trek going on. They needed the Orville to have a little bit separation between all these other sci-fi shows. They pushed it to the summer. It was a great summer release. Will it be summer of 2026? I think it's a very good chance that it will be summer of 2026, but it could be other parts. It could be winter of 2026, spring of 2026. I guess it depends on what else is going on. Doesn't seem like there's a whole lot of other Star Trek in the way right now, being that I'm sure Strange New Worlds will be in and out before season 4 comes out. Star Trek Academy, we'll see what happens with that. There's not Discovery will be over with. Lower Decks over with. I think 2026 seems about right. 2025 just seems a little bit too tight of the confines there for it to come out, because it takes like a year to film the whole thing, and then you got, even though they're doing all the effects while they're filming, they also got to do a lot more effects after they're done filming, and then there's the promotional period, all that stuff. They got to take pictures, they got to finish the music, Music probably takes 3 weeks per episode. And so there's a lot to do. So I think 2026 seems about right. But don't quote me on it. But just looking at what I know and what I know about the show and how they are made, I think 2026 seems about right. Yeah, Mateo says a December 2025 release could be doable. Could be, but man, I think it's just a little too tight. A little too tight. But, they're really good at doing the effects now. They have the new view screen technology that Fuzzy Door created for doing effects. They're really tight now. Season 3 made the production even tighter than it was before. Possible, but man, it just seems like putting a lot of pressure on the show. I wouldn't want them to have that much pressure because good things come to those who wait, and nobody waits like the Orville fandom waits. I would love it if they come out December 31st, 2025, but man, that just seems tight. But who knows? Maybe they got everything they need to do it. What would you want to see in any potential spin-offs, etc.? I would hate to lose. I'd want to have spin-offs that at least have one of the characters. So a Gordon spin-off would be great. Maybe what would we want Gordon to do? I don't want him to teach flight school. You can't have Gordon go off and have his family because then it just becomes a family show. I guess another ship. I'm such a fan of ships going out there exploring. Just like with I love the Next Generation, right? I was right there when it premiered. I didn't like Deep Space Nine as much because it was very in just one place all the time. I want to go out there and have adventures and run into weird situations. Eventually, Deep Space Nine, they started going out and doing stuff in the later seasons, which is more interesting. But then Voyager came along, and Voyager was out there again. Not only were they out there, they were way out there. They were so far out there, they're trying to work their way back. So I loved Voyager even more than DS9 because I want the adventure. I want the ship out there doing things. So I guess I would just want another ship going out there doing things. I'd be fine with it. We don't know enough about the Orville universe, like the history. So I'd even be fine with a prequel series to help fill in some of the gaps. Let us, even before maybe the Orville's not even built yet. So maybe the Orville was built in, I think they started in 2390s. And it took years to build it. And then the Orville was commissioned, was out there having adventures for 19 years, even before Captain Mercer became the captain of the ship. So the Orville's been around a long time. So, I mean, we can even go back even further in the timeline and be fine with that, or something that takes place alongside, or even something that takes place in the future. But I don't think there's enough Orville canon out there for us to really need to go even further in the future, because we're still learning about where we're at right now in the 25th century. And I'm just not a fan of shows that just stay in one place. Like what, we're getting Star Trek Academy coming out. I'm like, it's being a school. I'm sure they'll go out and do stuff, but there's going to be a lot of stuff going on at the Academy. And I'm like, I'm going to get bored of that. I like going out there. Young Lieutenant Mercer based series. They did that in one of the comic books. We get a flashback of Ed and when he was a lieutenant, or maybe even younger, when he meets Gordon Malloy for the very first time. That was fun. I can't remember exactly which comic episode that was. But yeah, all kinds of stuff. Any show that they want to do, any spinoff they want to do, I'm all about it. I'm all for it. Just because all of anything that they would do would just give us more information about the Orville universe. And that's what I care about. More canon. More canon. Damn it. Give me more Orville canon. Chris Ricard. Captain Ricard. In Shadow Realms, do you think we will see the race that is coming due to the homing beacon? Perhaps the Orville's version of the Borg. Yeah, those spider people are crazy. They can infect you just like the Borg can infect you, and you become a Borg. You become an arachnid. Absolutely. I think we just barely got a little taste of that crazy race and crazy spider peeps puking on people's faces. We just got a little piece of them. Let's get more. And we didn't even. The spider people are all part of the mythology of the Ancana from the Krill. The Krill didn't even go out into that realm of space because the Ancana told them not to, because there's some crazy monsters out there. Let's see what happens when the Krill actually come in contact with these arachnids. What's the repercussions of that? Yes, Huckleberry Ninja. Huckleberry Ninja says, or an episode based on the zoo and how Earth reality TV affected the behavior of that whole race. That's the Caliban. The Caliban is the super smart race of people. They're all red with round heads. That's from Command Performance, episode 2. We haven't seen them since. We are supposed to see them in a flashback of them in the upcoming season 4 episode Sympathy for the Devil. But it's not an updated version. I've always wanted to see what happened to the Caliban once they were introduced to Earth reality television. Did it change their culture in any way? Would love to know about that. Command Performance, that whole Caliban Zoo, as a sci-fi fan, interested me very much. It reminded me of that episode of Twilight Zone. People are saying all over. With Roddy McDowell, I believe, where he's an astronaut, lands on Mars, meets people that look just like people, but they end up being a trick. They're putting him in a human zoo. Such a great episode of the Twilight Zone. That was another level, another type of story we got from the Orville. I'm like, oh, I think I might love this show. And that was very early on. Kroom, thank you so much for that super chat. Good to see you, JP. Not able to make the watch parties, as a bit late over here, but great to see all back up and running. Thank you very much, Kroom. I'm doing my best to try to find the time, afford the time, I should say. Really can't afford it, but today I had no choice because I went out there to try to work, pay some bills, but there's no work to be done. So I'm like, I might as well go home and do some talking the Orville stuff. But eventually my plan is to get to a point where I can really hit it hardcore like I used to do. But luckily, it's still early on. We know that there's going to be a 4th season of the Orville, but they haven't started production yet. When we start production, there's going to be news coming in from production, pictures, more information. Maybe it won't be called, I think it'll be called New Horizons again, but maybe it won't. Maybe it'll be Newer Horizons, Newest Horizons, Horizons Nuevo. We'll learn dates about when things are happening, when there's premieres, all that stuff. And then the interviews will start, and we're going to have a ton of fun. But the whole time, I'm at least going to be doing live shows every week. Right now, we're doing the watch parties. Last week, we finished Priya. Great episode. And, of course, during the watch parties, we're not just watching the episodes together, cue them up on both sides. I'm giving behind-the-scenes content, information, all about the episode while we watch it, when it aired, things that happened during productions, behind-the-scenes information about writing the episode, the music, special guests, things fans say, interviews, all that stuff. This week, on Thursday, we're going to be watching Krill, which should be another very fun episode with a lot of great information to be imparted by me to you. We're going to learn about the episode together in some ways. And then the week after that, Majority Rule, very excited for that. And then Into the Fold, Cupid's Dagger, Firestorm, New Dimensions, and then Mad Idolatry. And that'll be the end of season 1, and then we'll figure out when to start season 2. But that's down the road. And I do want to thank everybody who's been showing up for those watch parties. They are a lot of fun. They go by fast because I have so much information about these episodes. But again, thank you so much, Kroom, for that super chat. Very much appreciated. Helps me buy some time to keep making things because we got a lot to talk about for the next few years, it looks like. How about when the Orville was built for a spinoff? Yeah, it took a few years to build it. They started building it in the late 2390s. In the early 24 aughts, they sent it out to be an official ship, going out there doing missions. And then I would love to see the Orville in its previous crew, which you could still have Bortus, because Bortus was part of the previous crew. So was John. And have the old captain of the ship. Maybe what kind of adventures did they have then? I bet you the adventures were nowhere near as interesting as the Orville adventures we've had with Captain Mercer, though. At least that's what it seems. Mateo, thank you again for your support. Another super chat, just an excuse to give more money. Thank you so much. Very much appreciated. DJ129, the Orville prequel series. Good things come to those who wait. You might get that someday. Kroom sounds like a name for spices or a name for an alien on the Orville. The Kroom. The Kroom Krill Alliance. Oh man, the Kroom are coming. The Kroom intercepted our communique. Zan says guest stars and extras make the universe feel so much bigger, and diplomacy things. Now that the Orville status has gone up, yes, there's going to be. I guarantee you, season 4 will have some huge stars guest starring. When I interviewed Rena Owen, who plays Havina, she said season 4 she predicts, because how good the show is. She knows how good the show is. She definitely knows. She says the show is so good that there's no way in season 4 that there won't be huge stars clamoring to get a role on the Orville, because the show is good work. It's very good work. It's very good material, and that's what actors want on their resumes. Very good roles. So she's expecting to have some big names in season 4. Barry Howman, when is Jay Pulio going to be spreading his pheromones again, JP? I don't know. I'm waiting to hear back from the rest of the Orville RPG team. We have to continue our campaign in the Orville tabletop RPG universe. Sometime this month, we are now in September. So sometime this month, we will be doing it. It'll probably be on a Saturday, same time, same place. Same URL. Just have to figure out when everyone is available to do it. And then we will be continuing our campaign. And of course, I'll be making an announcement right here on the main page, the what's it called? The communication, where I put all the posts on this channel. Just stay tuned. There'll be an announcement soon. Would you like to see a female Mocklin join the Orville crew? Mateo, yes, I would. And I think we already have that with Topa. I believe Topa seems to be on a trajectory to become a Union officer. And I am sure that she's going to want to serve aboard the Orville. And I'm sure they're going to fast track her, because an Orville Mocklin officer, she could be a representative of the Sanctuary. She could probably join the Sanctuary, and the Sanctuary can say, hey, let's have an officer exchange type of thing. Let's have Topa serve aboard the Orville. They kind of let her sit in the captain's chair in that Topa episode in season 3. She's probably super smart brain, and of course they grow up really fast, so she might be ready for a pretty good role, pretty good promotion. She might be a pretty well-established officer in a couple of years by the time we catch up with her in season 4 of the Orville. Because we have to remember, there's going to be time that's passed, or a couple of years has passed the next time we see the Orville. So people can be in upgraded positions. They can be promoted. I don't think Lysella would be able to be on a bridge crew as of yet, but she could certainly be an officer. She could certainly be in engineering. Maybe she wants to study dark matter cartography, which is a big role in the Union now ever since the Priya episode. They didn't even know there was dark matter storms before Priya. And then as soon as they found out, by the next season, they had a dark matter cartographer serving aboard the ship. She turned out to be a spy. It was Talia, disguised as Janelle. But apparently dark matter is an important enough phenomenon in space that they had to have a whole officer dedicated to that knowledge. And I guess you consider that maybe a navigational skill as well. Community posts. That's what I mean, Barry. Thank you very much. Yes, I post on the community page all the time right here on Talking the Orville. I just recently posted the latest t-shirt design for Talking the Orville, which has Talking the Orville, but then the Orville spelled with a 4. And it has a cool little emblem around it, all that good stuff. Because I got to start getting merch ready. People are asking for new merch for the new Talking the Orville. So might as well. I started that today since I couldn't go out and do any ride share. Let's see. Mateo says, I can see that, but would you like to see another come on board prior to her graduation from the Union? No. I think for me, when it comes to Mocklins, I'm just about Bortus, Topa, Havina, Clyden, and I don't need any others. I don't need to get to know any others. That's good for me. I'd be fine with it, I guess, because I know they would do a great job. Oh, and Lokar. I want to know about Lokar. But I'm guessing we would need to do something with the female Mocklins, because we kind of said no more male Mocklis. The planet Mocklis, which is, all males, we're done with them. We're on the team of the sanctuaries. So I guess we're going to need some of them to join us, right? So it would make sense that we have a female Mocklin. And he can do a great story. You have a female Mocklin, and female Mocklin can kind of become a mentor to Topa. There's some great things you could do with it. There you go. Barry says, I feel like Topa is going to be the Wesley Crusher of the Orville. I could totally see that. Yeah, we're going to need a new navigator. I would like a permanent navigator, not just a... Season 2, they just had randos sit next to Gordon all season long. I loved it when Charlie came aboard because we got an official navigator. I want somebody else to be the official navigator in season 3. Great excuse to have another new character for us to learn about and love. John Smith says, I love Lysella too, but she doesn't have experience in that sort of thing. Plus, I think a couple of years' time wouldn't be long enough for her to work her way all the way up to the bridge. But she could be in training. Maybe she had by the time we see her next, she's had enough training to serve as an officer in another department aboard the ship. Or maybe she doesn't want to be an officer at all. Maybe she wants to work at Muska's. Maybe Lysella is just a really damn good waitress over at Muska's. Maybe she takes over Muska's and becomes the new manager there. Because maybe Muska's is expanding. So maybe they have another Muska's opening up on that space station that Chief Newton went to work on. And so Muska's going over there to run the new location, and Lysella stays back to run the Muska's at the on the ship. So many possibilities. Huckleberry Ninja, I think majority rule planet should be a cautionary tale about nuclear warfare and the after effects of survivor's guilt. Also, don't forget the planet from All the World's birthday cake. We held them back a little bit, had them calm down when they found, John and Gordon made that fake star in the sky, so they thought it was some sort of constellation thing that meant something. What happens when they find out that it's fake? In that episode, John and Gordon said they'll eventually find out that it's fake. And Kelly was like, yeah, but that'll be down the line. We'll figure that out we'll cross that bridge when we get there. What happens when it's time to cross the bridge? I'd like a follow-up with those people because they're definitely not ready to join the Union yet. They haven't got all their planetary BS behind them yet. They're not all trying to do better by doing better. Yeah, Barry, we had Charlie, but unfortunately she's gone now. Unless they bring her back, unless Priya saves her right before the explosion. I would like it if Priya saved Charlie, but Charlie isn't about that. Charlie wanted to die. So I think even if we just had one episode where Priya brought back Charlie, turned out Charlie's been with her ever since, doing whatever Priya's up to. She doesn't feel worthy. Charlie doesn't feel worthy of rejoining humanity. And then maybe we lose Charlie again, this time for reals. I think we could bring back Charlie without degrading the sacrifice she made by making her make another sacrifice. But I don't think we'll see her on the bridge again. At least not willingly. See, Booger actually likes Random Navigator. It was a fun callback to TNG. Yeah, I get that. I just wish they did something with these random navigators. If they're gonna have them, at least give them a line or something. Give us somebody to wonder about. Who's this person? What are they up to? What's their race? But it usually was just somebody sitting there. At least have Nagilum come and explode their heads or something. That's what she was doing when we first met the crew. She was working at the coffee shop. That's right. So maybe she goes back into the food industry. Yep. Oh, Ed's daughter became the new chancellor of Krill. I think she'll just still be locked up in a room. Just there thinking life's okie dokie. All the world is Gilliac trash. Yes. Your majority rule pin. Did you ever find out of the screen used and who may have used it? It was on screen, but I went through the entire episode and I couldn't find anybody that I could read their badge numbers that matched my badge numbers. So somebody in that episode was wearing my up vote down vote pin that I have, but I don't know who. I mean, I went through the whole episode and zoomed in. I was telling my computer to enhance, zoom in. Couldn't find who it was. Will the sandwich return in season 4? I bet you it doesn't. I bet you it's been eaten. A spinoff with Alara would be interesting. I know Alara is helping the Union come up with some more security. She's doing some sort of security thing. I don't know what that involves. I don't know if it's on a space station. I can't remember. Or maybe she's doing it from her planet. I just would like to see her back for a full episode. Shut up, Wesley. Shut up, Wesley. Yes, that's what I said. Beverly. I don't think it would be a good thing to bring Charlie back. She wanted to be with her love. Yes, and I think that would be a great story because, like, she wanted to die and be with Amanda, but then she got saved. She didn't want to be saved, and so now she wants to die, but she doesn't want to kill herself. She just wants it to happen. uh, in the line of duty or something like that. So she's angry that she's alive. But then we'll send her back. We'll send her back to the ether by the end of the episode, and she'll be like, finally I'm dead. They probably don't get lines because they are not screen actors. Well, also they don't get lines because then you got to pay them more. So they're getting paid one fee, and then if you get a line, you get paid a lot more. So you save money by not giving people lines in TV and movies. Gilherm says, when will season 4 premiere? Well, we don't have the date yet, but I'm guessing mid 2026. Because if they're starting right at the beginning of 2025, I feel it would take the entire year to finish the bulk of it, but it would still take a few months to finish the effects and the promotion. You got to have enough time for promotion. Even if something is completely done and ready, you still have to spend a few months promoting it so that enough people show up when it premieres. So it seems pretty set that it should be 2026. I don't think it should take to 2027, but 2026 seems super fair. What we know now is that egg salad sandwiches are stronger than bananas. Just like this family is stronger than time. I get what you're doing there, Booger. Agreed. Huckleberry Ninja says, I want Alara's planet to be in some kind of crisis so Alara's parents can see how important and respectable her job really is. They did that a little bit in a personal level with the episode Home, season 2, episode 3. But yeah, to even see more of that. I love that story with Robert Picardo, who plays Ildis Catan. When Alara saves everybody in that episode, he realized how lame he's been to her this whole time. And what she does is important. But to see her actually command people in the department and everyone wants her point of view and all that would also be really great. I would love that. Maybe have Ildis actually have to come up against some hillbillies of the galaxy. Will Latchcombe return in some form? Well, Ed knows what Latchcombe is, but other people on the ship don't know what Latchcombe is. So that prank, if you want to call it a prank, could be played upon other characters on the ship. Wouldn't it be awesome if they played Latchcombe with Isaac, but it doesn't go as planned because Isaac's made of metal and the knife isn't going to go through his hand. Mateo, thank you so much, Mateo, for that super chat. More support as I head out. Take care, all. Take care, Mateo. Hope to see you soon. I'll be going live on Thursday for the Krill watch party. Hope you're able to make it, but if not, it was great to see you. And we'll see you the next time we see you. Because we got a lot of Orville to talk about. Yes, Alara is doing something with planetary defense. It'd be great to see that storyline be needed in some way with one of the plots of the future episodes. Wind Gray says, yes, there are still a few Trek doctors we haven't seen as Salayans. Yes, Bashir Beverly has not been a Salayan. What other doctors do we have that are around? No, I think it's all of them. Well, that's all the ones I care about. Okay. Why did Alara lose her strength but not Tala? The degradation of Alara's muscle mass is a condition that only happens to some Salayans. It's a certain percentage of Salayans can have that possibly happen to them, where they lose their strength by being on Earth gravity for too long. Not all of them. Alara, unfortunately, was one of the Chileans that fell into the category of Chileans that happens to. So Tal is fine, but Alara was not. She was subdued to have to deal with this condition. Pulaski. The actor that played Pulaski is still around. That'd be interesting. Oh, wow. Thanks, Deck. Deck actually purchased one of my Bortus bears. I have teddy bears available on the Talking to Orville store. I have a teddy bear that says "I love Bortus" on it, and the heart is blue, and it has the Orville logo with the quantum engines coming out. The Orville logo, but it's a heart. Thank you very much, Deck. I hope you love it. Hope you enjoy it. If you guys want to check out a bunch of Orville swag that I've created over time, it's right there on Talking the Orville store. More is coming. I do my best to make them awesome designs that the fans would love, but the production will not have a problem with because they're original enough. They're fan made enough. Like I have the new Talking the Orville logo t-shirt design that I came out with today, and it's fine. I would think it's fine to have the Orville say the Orville on it because the I is actually a 4. The real Orville logo does not have a 4 in it. Mine does, so therefore it's different enough. But also means season 4. Winter Gray says the Bortus bear will look good next to Rudolph this Christmas. Ooh. That would be awesome. I don't know if I have the capability of making a reindeer, but that would be awesome. If I did, I'd make a Orville reindeer. Barry says, it happens when Chileans leave Celea at a young age. It doesn't always happen, I believe, but can happen if you leave Celea gravity too soon. And as we know, Alara was young. She was like 24 when we first met her. And she was probably off Celea for a few years before that. Tala, obviously a little bit more mature, a little bit more kick-ass in my opinion. Huckleberry Ninja says, I want to see a non-monogamous society at some point. So that's kind of like Phlox's people. They're non-monogamous. Well, they have like 12 husbands and 12 wives or something like that. That'd be very a modern day societal thing that's going on. It's going on in society. People are talking about it. So yeah, it would be relevant. I like it when sci-fi holds up a mirror to society with relevant things that are going on. Barry says, I think she left as a teenager. She might have. That made sense because she was having problems. Alara was having problems with her parents. They didn't get along very well. So it makes sense that she would leave Celea at the earliest possibility, the earliest time that she could. That's what teenagers do. Yeah, the spider critter sets were super cool. They're traps. The spider people traps. You go there and you touch one of them glowing things, or a little flower opens up and what? And you're like, what? And then all of a sudden you're a spider person. Curtis Tate says, I recommend Star Trek Prodigy as a good watch while waiting for the Orville. Star Trek Prodigy, you guys, if you have not watched it, I believe is available. 2 seasons on Netflix right now. I'm actually about ready to end this stream. I've just had a good time. I haven't been doing single solo streams that much for the last few months, except for, I do the watch parties, but that's just an hour long. I'm so busy talking about the episode, I don't get to have conversations with you guys as deeply as I enjoy doing. And of course, we're going to be doing the Union live show, which guest stars the rest of the Union, the Orville RPG, which has the rest of the RPG team. But just me and you haven't done it that much. So I thought, hey, let's go ahead and do one. And then I've been having a great time. So I kind of forgot about what time it is, but it is time for me to end this stream. So Barry, I thank you very much for bringing that up. And the other Barry says it's not a distress call, it's a mating call, right? And Deck says, official channel member Deck, thank you for being an official channel member. Oh, I got to sneeze almost. I'm allergic to official channel members. Thanks for carrying the flag for the Orville, JP. Also, your awesome merchandise. Thank you very much, Deck. For me, it's really about carrying the flag for the Orville. I wonder if I can make an Orville flag. That'd be awesome. Anyway, it's about carrying the flag for the Orville. I love the universe. I love the show. It's my favorite type of sci-fi. It's the only show that is truly holding the torch for Gene Roddenberry sci-fi, even though it's got its own thing going on and it's got its own different deliciousness going on. The Orville carries hope with it. It carries high concept science fiction storylines. It carries a great cast of characters that are interesting, that you want to know more about, and you want to see their interpersonal relationships and see how they deal with these adventures that they get to go on. I love the Orville, you guys. I love the talk in the Orville community. I love love. And that love comes from the Orville for me. I do have to get going. Thanks, Curtis Tate, official channel member Curtis Tate. Great stream for a rainy Labor Day. No rain over here, all dry and not so hot, which is very different. It's been very hot over here. Huckleberry says, I recommend rewatching the Orville while waiting for season 4 of the Orville. I recommend that too. I've been doing it every week, every Thursday, the Orville watch party. We're on season 1 right now. This Thursday, we're watching the Krill episode, episode 6 of season 1. Come join me because we learn a lot about the episodes and we talk a lot about the episodes. But I have to get going. I have a lovely wife, hopefully waiting to chat with me and say hello and all these great things. But I'll see you all very soon. And remember, this is very important right here. Remember, we all do better when we all do better. Love you. Bye-bye. Again. Oh, wait a minute. Hold on, you guys. I pressed the button. I did it.